I said these words today. I was talking about reasonable suspicion and probable cause. This is criminal justice class, as we all know. And I told my kids, I said, I used to think the idea of probable cause or the concept of probable cause was the simplest thing. And if I look at it from a certain context, it still is. But when I came in and started trying to explain it to 15, 16, 17-year-olds, I realized this is a pretty complex idea. What do you know about probable cause? What comes to mind when I say that?
So I'm hanging out with Dan Lawson now in an EDS class, and he is just, it's law and ethics.
Yeah.
So you and I will have some conversation to have this semester for sure.
Okay.
And one of the things I already slid to the side to ask you about was that, and when it comes to schools and what school officials are allowed to do.
Oh, yeah.
Which seems is much more than what police officers are allowed to do. So what makes this building different than the community center, or I'm eating at Cheddar's, or like being surrogates? We're not parents, but we are by law surrogates for these children. We're supposed to keep them safe, which means we're allowed to bring structure and discipline. And it seems as if, there are times, right, in the school, like a school official does not need a warrant to search a kid's bag or purse.
Absolutely not.
A locker, right?
Do you know what they need?
Probable cause?
Nope. Man, that's downright mindful.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Did we just become best friends? Yep.
We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
I don't need backups. I'm going to Harvard.
Remember these words. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Do or do not. There is no try.
I still have a dream.
Welcome to Downright Mindful, a meeting place where we explore meaning, seek connections, and examine the relationships between people, events, and the ideas that shape our world. Hosted by me, Matt Paris, my friend and colleague Paul Sawswell, each episode will dive into thoughtful conversations that spark reflection and curiosity. Thanks for joining us. Now let's get right down to it. All right, welcome in, folks. We're glad to have you listening to Downright Mindful. I'm here with Paul, and we're going to spend a few minutes just chit-chatting a little bit. We're glad you queued us up to listen in on our conversation. How's it going, Paul?
January is almost over. How crazy is that?
It is, man. And I bet by the time our people hear this, it'll be over. So, yeah.
For sure.
But that's where we are. They know we're a week and a half or so out from the time we record to the time we drop one. But yeah, January's gone, man. Snow days?
Winter weather days, I think is what we called them.
Is that it?
We had a snow day, and that was fun. We built a snowman at our house. But like those winter weather days, they're nice. Sarah and I just stayed home and watched lots of Yellowstone, trying to catch up with the rest of society.
Where are you at?
Season 4.
Is that the last, or is that
there's one more season.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been fun.
Are you, now I don't know about you, but in season, I would guess 4, I started kind of losing it a little bit. Like, okay, we're just dragging this out at this point.
Did you finish?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm caught up with it.
Okay.
I could tell you things.
So you didn't quit?
No, I didn't quit.
You just had a lull.
I didn't quit. I get to that place. I'm not saying I have some sort of, uppity taste for storytelling, but like I can tell when you're just making another episode, man, and you're pausing me, you're holding me off until that you're filling space between the premiere and the finale,
Yeah,
Some of the best shows, they pick up speed, Breaking Bad. That's why I'll always, if we have this conversation, I'm always going to bring that up, because most of the people, much like The Office, most of the people that started that and lost it, they lost it in the first season. If you made it past that first season, man, you're in. It's some things start.
How about the Fly episode?
Oh,
did we really need that?
Man, that's tough on me for just what we're talking about. Like, oh man,
yeah.
Now, the one of two things are happening there. They're either stringing us along, or that's just hey, look how good we can do this, that we're going to keep you engaged through this whole episode.
They had me
with just this.
And we only needed those last, 8 seconds? Yeah. That was it. That one line.
That's all you need. So Breaking Bad fans will know what we're talking about. If not, you need to be watching Breaking Bad if you are of the age to make a good decision to watch that show.
Yeah, I do have a hard time with things that are like multiple seasons. I have a hard time. I think Ted Lasso for me was the perfect 3-season. Episodes weren't too long, and it just, he's losing a lot, he's tying a lot, and then, they kind of figure out how to win. It was just, it was good, and you never really knew what was coming. But that's just me. Yeah. People have different opinions, but I love it.
So as somebody who's probably in the middle of like season 2 and just paused for months now on Ted Lasso, is that show over?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to reveal anything to me. I don't know. I didn't keep up with it.
They left something for some other thing, but you're not going to see Ted.
Oh, okay.
That just ruin it.
I don't know. Maybe.
Nah. And if you haven't watched it by now, no. There is that 5-year rule, I guess, on movies, that I guess it applies to shows as well. But nah.
When did season 3 of Ted Lasso come out?
Long enough for us to go, why haven't you finished? You're in the middle of season 2.
Okay.
It'd be different if you finish season 2 and you're kind of, I don't know, I need time to watch the whole 3rd season. You're not there.
You a Walking Dead guy?
No, Sarah did for a bit. And she said, once they stopped killing zombies and started killing people, I was done. I don't even know what that means.
Well, I can't say that's true for me, because I was in on the whole, like, this is society sort of reforming and starting to mold itself back into like these city states. I'm interested in that, but they went past that, and I think there's about 47 seasons of that now. Not literally, but it's the classic, like, this went too long, guys. You should have wrapped this up.
Yeah, but there's people still, they have to be out there still watching it.
Yeah, I guess we're all waiting on the return of Rick Grimes. That's what kind of kept us holding on. And I won't spoil how that turns out, but, because there might be somebody out there that hasn't.
What are these people doing?
Look, Walking Dead's one of those shows. It's been some years now since the start of that show, but you could start it today and be in for, there's 4 or 5 seasons of pretty solid entertainment right there.
Yeah.
I love it. What's your other go-tos? What's one that you bring up in conversation with people when you're having this conversation?
For shows?
Yeah.
And seasons?
Yeah.
I don't know. Usually it's like I started watching Cobra Kai and I can't finish, or I started watching Outer Banks and I can't finish. I'm usually the guy who can't.
Yeah.
I can't hold on. Like I'm more of a movie guy. Give me a movie.
Yeah.
There's going to be a beginning and a middle and an end.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that conclusion.
Yeah.
But like Silo, I just watched both of those. Is it 2 seasons? Yeah, 2 seasons. That's Apple.
Okay.
Apple TV made one.
Yeah.
It's one of those, the world has ended in some sort of way. They're survivors and they've got, these underground bunkers that they've been living in for 140 years. Do you know about this show?
I do not.
Yeah. And then Severance. I've been watching Severance.
Is that another Apple show?
Yep.
Okay. That's why I'm not near. I have Apple TV and I just don't, I don't.
So that one's weird.
Think to go to it.
You got to like weird to like Severance.
Yeah.
Silo is more traditional action, post-apocalyptic. Who's really the hero? Who's really the villain? Who's the next person to turn?
Yeah.
From being good to bad and bad to good,
Huh.
But yeah, I'm an Apple TV fan.
Yeah, I hear that. A lot of the stuff you mentioned. Ted Lasso's Apple TV. Isn't it?
That's right.
Is it also on Disney Plus?
I don't think Apple is on Disney.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I'm usually that, Breaking Bad is, I've let it compete for sort of that top spot. I won't name a top show for me, but it's up there.
Yeah.
And along with that is the spinoff Better Call Saul. That got really good.
Did it? I never got past like the 4th episode.
Gosh, yeah, it did.
Okay.
It's another one that like at first it's just this goofy because of who Saul is in the story.
Yeah.
But man, it backs up and starts telling his story, and it's like some legit. There's some legit storylines that come out of this, and it's pretty fantastic. I mean, it could almost stand alone. I mean, it's fantastic. It's great. I'll always revert to Hell on Wheels. You know this one?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Man, we watched something recently on Netflix called American Primeval. Have you watched?
Well, you got me. I started it. I'd watched an episode, but I mean, I've got these other ones that we just were talking about.
Man,
Silo and Severance, and I was already kind of all in, and you pause something.
Yeah. I mean, the more I learn about, and not just from that as a source, but the more I learn about that sort of, that westward expansion, all that, the Wild West of the United States. That's one of there's stories there, man. That is a story in itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I thought that was done well, and it includes the actor. I don't know his name, but he plays Dave Koresh in what was the name of that? Waco. That's pretty simple, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He plays Tim Riggins on Friday Night Lights.
Oh yeah,
that's the guy. He's a pretty cool character in that show. And anyways, it's just done well, and it's recently that's one of the best things I've watched, man. It's really
Sarah
good.
and I, Lincoln Lawyer, and Jack Reacher. Either one of those?
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had fun.
Jack Reacher, the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've watched the movies too, but I mean, the show was pretty good.
The show sort of, I haven't read the books, but I'm told that the show sort of sticks closer to the books as far as the character himself goes. He's a big strapping, dangerous looking dude, Yeah. Very cool, man. But yeah, I don't know how I didn't mean to get on TV, but that's interesting. I can't even remember how we got here, but snow days or winter weather days.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, starting January is always a sort of a fun time as far as, from a teacher's perspective. It's sort of a fresh start in ways, new faces in our classroom.
If you're on block scheduling.
If you're on a block schedule. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for sure. For us.
I like it.
For us, we switch. It's a whole new semester. It's a whole new set of classes. And one of the things, usually coming out of Christmas break, getting those, it's kind of like starting the first of the year or the first of the school year again. So there's some, housekeeping items, expectations, relationship, all those things. And then you kind of, I'm speaking for me here. Then you kind of find your groove and you get to content and you just, everything becomes normal again. And then you start rolling, man. But due to the way this month is kind of rolled out, I feel like I've started this semester about 3 times.
I mean, that's how it's been. I mean, this is our first full week.
Yeah, that's the way it feels, including, today, man, I just taught, not that I don't teach all day, every day. That's not but like today was really like, and I shared this with Coach D earlier. I'm not in a place to where I have to, this is going to sound weird for people that don't understand, so I'm going to try to explain it well. If I were a tested subject or a course subject where there's a clear marker of where I need students to be, there would be pressures on me that aren't really on me now. Does that make sense to you?
Sure. I'm a tested subject.
Okay. Yeah. But I don't want that to the ones who might not understand to think that, I'm just not doing nothing. And that's not the case. But what I said to Linda D was that I typically don't talk to a brick wall because I don't have to. So if I am trying to present information or have a conversation, some would call it lecturing. I'll call it a discussion. Some days that vibe is like super easy to tap into. Some days it's a little bit of a challenge, but you get there. And then there's days that, man, it's just like you're beating your sword on a stone. And now a lot of that may have to do with me as a speaker. I'm aware of that. But as a CTE class, I can easily build in things to where when I start pounding on that stone and I'm not getting where I need to, I can transition straight to something that gets kids up and moving and gets them talking to each other if they're not in that conversation with me. But today specifically was a great day, man. Just conversations came easy. The questions were natural and bouncing around the room. And that those moments I love.
Well, how long you been teaching?
This is year 7 for me.
Yeah, this is semester 14. This is the 14th time you've done this. Yeah. There's a rhythm. There's a flow. There's a structure that you know that you can slide into that stream. And, you know, it's the river ain't ever straight, is it? I mean, it's always winding, but you go with that flow and, you know, you find it and you invite kids into that raft and like hanging out with Chris Cretton on the Ocoee. You know you're safe.
Yeah.
But it's still wild. And sometimes it's just chill. And sometimes, I mean, you're holding on for dear life. And sometimes you're working and sometimes you got your nose to the grindstone. And I mean, but you're doing it together. And I love that part of when you mention relationships of just figuring some stuff out, figuring out who they are. They got to figure out who we are. And then, I mean, I'd love for us to figure out who like us is. Mm-hmm. But we only get it 90 days. And that's the other thing that I don't like. Maybe the only thing I don't like about Block is that, you know, we only get 90 days.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, when you've got a crew that has really clicked, and there's always content. I mean, you can always keep going.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be fun to keep some of those kids. And sometimes, I'll be honest, after 23 years, there's some crews that just, man, they never click. And it's a grind every day. And it doesn't have to be that way, but somehow it ends up being that way.
Mm-hmm.
And fresh start in January is very welcome.
Yeah, for sure. I had a little patch of snow right outside my front door at home that just kind of held on, man. I don't know if it was just in a shady spot or what, but I promise you it hadn't been gone 72 hours yet. I mean, you know, we got some pretty warm and sunny days over the last couple of days. Yeah. That's what it took to get rid of this piece. And every time I walked out from my front door, I'd think of my grandmother. She would say, "It's waiting around on another."
I'll take it.
That's what she would have said, but it didn't happen, man. We got close a couple times. There was some what that thing they call wintry mix there for maybe a few minutes at a time. But man, that little piece of snow in my front door, I thought, we'll see how it goes. But I'm just as happy to get in the groove, get the semester moving, man, and get some content out. I said these words today. I was talking about reasonable suspicion and probable cause. This is criminal justice class, as we all know. And I told my kids, I said, I used to think the idea of probable cause or the concept of probable cause was the simplest thing. And if I look at it from a certain context, it still is. But when I came in and started trying to explain it to 15, 16, 17-year-olds, I realized this is a pretty complex idea. What do you know about probable cause? It's what comes to mind when I say that.
So I'm hanging out with Dan Lawson now in an EDS class, and he is just, it's law and ethics.
Yeah.
So you and I will have some conversation to have this semester for sure.
Okay.
And one of the things I already slid to the side to ask you about was that, and when it comes to schools and what school officials are allowed to do.
Oh, yeah.
Which seems is much more than what police officers are allowed to do. So what makes this building different than the community center, or I'm eating at Cheddar's, or like being surrogates? We're not parents, but we are by law surrogates for these children. We're supposed to keep them safe, which means we're allowed to bring structure and discipline And it seems as if, there are times, right, in the school, like a school official does not need a warrant to search a kid's bag or purse.
Absolutely not.
A locker, right?
Do you know what they need?
Probable cause.
Nope. This is what separates those school officials from the police officer.
Okay.
Because in order for the police officer to search that kid, he needs probable cause. Because that's pretty typical in the United States. Exceptions to the warrant rule in the Fourth Amendment would include like persons in public with accompaniment of probable cause. If there's a nexus between the circumstances that lead that prudent officer to believe that a crime or evidence of a crime is in that bag, then with probable cause, he can search them. Probable cause is very factual. It's a pretty high level of proof, quote fingers. The difference in that school official at school is...
Hold on, before you make this statement, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Because you're going to give me too much information, might answer my question too quickly. And I want to get information. So watch this.
Let's go.
There's SROs in the building.
That's right.
Those are police officers. Those are not school officials. Is that correct?
That is factual.
Okay, so I'm going to say it one more time. An SRO is not a school official.
Absolutely not. Nor should they ever be confused with one, nor expected to do things that school officials do.
Spoken like a former SRO. Yeah, because you got to have those lines, right?
Yes.
So do SROs, police officers in a school building, do they, how do I want to say this, act different, respond differently, maybe a better phrase, than principals, assistant principals?
Absolutely.
Okay. So
absolutely.
I interrupted you, but I wanted to I'm kind of setting characters in their right roles so I can process what you're saying. Okay. So keep going.
Yeah. So, this is going to lead to a side conversation where I'm going to tell you, I believe school principals ought to have to go to SRO school in this world, in this day and age.
Like that way, police academy?
Well, it's kind of like a police academy, but it's like a week-long training. It's put on by the National Association for School Resource Officers, and every school resource officer that you've ever been in contact with has been to Murfreesboro or Nashville or somewhere near Memphis and did a week-long training specifically on the role of a school resource officer. The reason I say that is because oftentimes I see the role between school administrator and school resource officer become blurry. And it shouldn't be that way. And it's most often because of the principal's failure to understand where the lines are. Now, most of the people that I've worked with and I've seen, administrate a school alongside our school resource officers do a pretty good job. But they are two different things. They are way different. That's still a police officer in your school. When they clock in the morning until they go home, they're a police officer. Now, part of them being at your school and the overarching theme and idea of them being there is sort of from the context of community policing. Let's put them in these hallways. We'll bridge that gap between, the police and the people by allowing kids from kindergarten up through 12th grade to have a relationship with someone who wears that uniform every day and drives that car. And it helps humanize the police. It's a great concept. And if it's carried out the way it's intended, it's one of my favorite things.
Okay. So how many, we'll just start here. How many Tennessee schools don't have an SRO office?
I'd have to do some research to find that.
Okay. Do all of Bradley County, what do we have, 17 schools or something like that?
I think so.
Is there an SRO officer in every one of those?
At least one.
Because Tennessee says so, or because Bradley County says so?
Because Bradley County says so. Yeah.
Okay. Does Cleveland? Because you're familiar with
Cleveland, yes.
Okay. All their schools?
One of the last holdouts around us, and they have SROs now, is Polk County and I believe Meigs County. It took them a while.
So you're saying McMinn does, Hamilton does, Monroe does,
Hamilton for
Sequatchie
sure.
does.
Well, some of those I'd have to look into. I won't pretend to know.
Because there's 95 counties in Tennessee.
That's right.
Learned that in class last night. Okay, I know I had known that some other point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, do they? Like every county has a school district, at least one, right? Some have multiple in their counties. Tennessee, I mean, like there's been an emphasis of getting SROs, more SROs.
Yeah.
How close do you think? I mean, you're guessing.
I think it's close. I think it's close. So? I would want to do some research before I really speak on it. And I also want to do some research because, again, I'm in my 7th year of teaching. So there's some, and I'm not teaching these relationships in class, really. I'm teaching the criminal justice system as a whole. So we don't get into like school law and administrative law to where the last I knew, there wasn't a statutory requirement by the state or the federal government for a school system to have an SRO. It was always local governments working in conjunction with each other. Now, there in the past have been times where the U.S. government will put out grant money and things. That's how our school resource officer program was born. We've spoke about that before on here.
How's Tennessee compared to Texas and Vermont and Idaho and Michigan and Oregon? Do you know?
I do not know. No, I don't. If I had to guess, I would say we're pretty high because
I would too.
Because we're such a red state. I mean, our people, they want to live in this world where we have law and order and we're safe and But I feel like, sorry, go ahead. You're in the middle of a sentence. I was just going to say it doesn't scare most of our parents for, gun wielding police officers to be walking around the hallways. I'm not saying that's true in all parts of Tennessee because Tennessee and especially the big cities, it's a pretty diverse state. For the most part, I think we would probably lend on the higher end of that.
Let's see if you can walk me through this because I'm a little uncertain. So since I've lived here, I mean, it's the fall of 95. So Billy... Governors, go with me on this.
Okay.
Bill Haslam.
Okay.
Lamar Alexander?
I want to say yes, but
there was a Democrat who was the governor at some point.
What was Ned McWhorter? That's the first one I can remember.
Okay, because you're a Tennessee kid. I want you to remember.
I would have been a youngster.
Yeah.
I would have been a super young. The first governor of Tennessee, I believe, that I can remember was Ned McWhorter.
Because see, I don't think there's been a Democrat since like in the 2000s. But I want to go back to remembering when I first got here. And I mean, this still was a different place for me coming from Ohio than to South Carolina. And just this Southeast Tennessee was, I mean, like it's gun culture, unlike I've ever experienced it. And so I still kind of remember, even if there was a Democrat running things, that there was still this, kind of like how you described, a comfort level amongst parents because there's a normalcy around, hey, we're going to take our kids hunting and like we're going to train them with gun safety. And like, I can walk into someone's house and I'm not exaggerating. He stacks guns in his closet like I stack old shoes, and I mean, he doesn't blink an eye when I look and go, what in the world? But then I go, nah, that actually seems kind of normal. What do you see?
Lamar Alexander was before Ned McWhorter.
I thought like when I got here, 90s?
No, Lamar was 79 to 87.
Okay, well then how do I know that? Gosh. Well,
he
was a senator, right?
Yeah, he's
so
still
that's how I knew the name. And I knew that he was a governor before.
So going backwards, we got Bill Haslam, Phil Bredesen, Don Sundquist, and then Ned McWhorter.
Are all those guys Republicans?
I would have to do some further research because I'm not that guy, man. Everybody, no, right there, Phil Bredesen's a Democrat.
Yeah, I thought so during our time being here.
2000.
But I didn't think like there was this big old shift within Tennessee when Haslam comes along.
2003 to 2011.
I thought that, it's been pretty consistent here. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I just think that's interesting to note.
What was Ned? Let's see here. Ned was a Democrat.
Think of Ned Ryerson from Groundhog Day.
Ned McWhirter, he was a Democrat. He passed away in 2011. Born in Tennessee, served in the National Guard. I was just scrolling this list, and this is just some nerd stuff, and I probably should know this, but I didn't. Tennessee's Democratic governor from 1923 to 1927. Let's see. And he ended his term because he passed on October 2nd, 1927. He was born in Kentucky, went to Washington and Lee University and Centre College, and was pronounced dead in office. Governor Austin P. I didn't know that. So there's your there's our nerd moment that we just dug out of that.
Our university.
Yeah, Austin P. the Third. That's what it's. Wait, see, now I have to be a nerd for just a second, Paul. You'll have to carry me here because I got to see if any of the other Austin P's made this list.
And is Austin P. University named after that guy or the second guy or the first guy?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. I go all the way back to two-term governor, 1853 to 57, and then 1862 to 65. He was a Democrat, pretty big name. Got any ideas?
What was the dates again?
He served from 1853 to 57.
Andrew Johnson.
That's right. Yeah. He also was a state representative, senator, went on to be the vice president and the president. That's a pretty good resume, isn't it?
Yeah. He also was the first one to get impeached.
Yeah. That's me being a nerd, man. Just having a nerd moment. Once I pulled up that list and started seeing names, I couldn't stop. Yeah, that's fun. What were we talking about when this came up?
Probable cause is the genesis of all this.
Yeah, but you had a question that there were a couple questions in there. Let me go.
The big one was the SRO is not a school official.
He is not. In order for him to start searching people, his rules apply to him just the same way they apply to him anywhere in his jurisdiction.
But not for the school official.
No, not for the school official. So
are you going there today, or do I need to save that?
Let's just go. Let's just stay here. I'm fine with that. I told you we were going old school. By that, I meant we're going to press play and we're just going to have a conversation, man. We're just going to be buddies. And your teacher, if he hasn't already, is going to explain New Jersey versus TLO to you. He's going to bring that up as a landmark Supreme Court case.
That's where I landed. He gave us 10 to read. And this just isn't any teacher. This isn't any just professor. My man he has so much life experience as a superintendent. And what he's bringing to us on Wednesday nights, it's just rich. And he spent 4.5 hours watching the Tennessee State Legislature yesterday make some decisions and pass some things, and he brought that right to class. And so this is going to be a rich experience this semester. I'm very excited about it with Dr. Lawson. But yeah, he gave us a reading list. I got ahead a little bit and was going through. He gave us something that, the author's opinion, and he says that right off the bat. This is what I think the 10 most, when it comes to school law, that an educator needs to know. Yeah. And that was one of them. So as soon as you said that, I just...
Yeah, and I'd say a lot of those cases probably don't even have to do with criminal proceedings of any sort, do they? It's other school.
What's TLO?
TLO is I'd have to look it up for you. I'm drawing a blank. I'll look it up for you. This is a girl that's smoking in the bathroom, essentially. And there wasn't probable cause to be had at this time, but there was what we would consider reasonable suspicion. And I could do some quick research for you and tell you what it was. But they're gonna search her, I guess, like her purse, and find some cigarettes and some rolling papers and even a little bit of marijuana, I think.
Yeah.
But this was not a probable cause search. But it also wasn't conducted by the police. Okay. This case is going to go all the way to the Supreme Court and say, or all the way to an appellate court and say, and they're going to say, like, hey, these administrators are acting, I think we call it in loco parentis. You heard this term. It's a Latin term. It literally translates to like in place of parents.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that about the whole
being
a surrogate.
It's totally reasonable. Our society, including our Supreme Court, has said when those babies are at school, it's reasonable that in the absence of their parents, those school officials, even the teachers, are acting in the place of their parents. Now, I'd have to research this to find the hard truth, but I don't know of existing law that stops a teacher from acting in the same way. Now, most school policies, rightly so and smartly so, have said like, hey, let's not have teachers just searching kids. Mm-hmm. Let's report those things up the chain because the teachers are there to teach. We know that, you know. Now that those terms apply, and there's another one that is known as parens patria, and that applies when a police officer bumps into a juvenile out in the street and there's no parents around. Let's say there's a curfew or they're in the middle of the night and I have this 14-year-old. Same way, we're going to look out for them. That term, that idea, that concept applies and sort of gives our juvenile courts some teeth, because that's essentially what our juvenile courts do is they parent in a place where they see lack.
Going to take that 14-year-old home, or is that 14-year-old going to go somewhere else?
For the most part, if they're just out in the middle of the night, they shouldn't be.
Sure.
So that police officer is sort of bound by this concept to not just be like, all right, have a good night. Because first of all, what if that kid's parents don't know where they are?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
This is a runaway.
Does he take him home?
We're going to make a call at least.
Okay.
We're going to get that parent on the phone and get them there to pick them up.
Okay.
Or we can take them home. You know, one of those things are going to happen. If there's other things present, of course, if a little investigation takes place and something's going on, that kid could ultimately end up at juvenile detention. But, let's assume nothing else is wrong. They're just out and about. We'll take them home. We're not going to leave them, and it's very simple as a concept. You put yourself in the place of that parent. You're sleeping like a baby thinking your 14-year-old's in their bedroom sleeping like a baby, but they're not. And something bad were to happen to them and you find out the police had contact with them in the middle of the night, you'd be pretty pissy that they didn't let you know.
Yeah.
It's the reasonable thing to do is for that police officer, you're sort of bound by this responsibility to act in that way.
Okay, let's go back to the bathroom then.
Okay.
This girl. Mm-hmm. So I got two things just in the reading, and these were they gave you 3 paragraphs on each one of these Supreme Court cases. When these cases do go to court with this search by an administrator, how many times does the school board win compared to the parents?
Say that again.
Yeah. So oh my word, this search just happened. Parents are upset. We're going to sue. Right. So it makes it to the courts. We're not talking about Supreme Court. We're just,
so they're suing because the principal searched their kid.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. How many times does they called it the school board, but the school, how many times does the school win? How many times does the parents win?
I don't know. I mean, are we assuming that
they gave us a number in this article. So I'm wondering what you might say to that just straight up.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many times the school is acting within the law and when they're not, because reasonable suspicion, it's right there. It's close cousins with probable cause. And it's a really simple thing to me. But when I start explaining it to a 15-year-old at school, it can become pretty gray.
Yeah, well, we've already reached the point where it doesn't matter what the 15-year-old thinks. This has already reached to the parents, to the administrators. Now the school board is representing the school system. We've taken it to the courts. I'm not going to let this happen to my baby. The judge, that wouldn't be a jury, right? And so this
like
kind of dispute.
No,
yeah.
No.
So, right, it's a judge. How many times does the judge side with the school board? How many times does the judge side with the parents?
I don't know.
I know. That's why I just said, just Straight up. Just give me some. Give me your best educated
I think
guess.
the real question here, and I'll give you a guess.
I told you there's a number I'm going to give you from the article, and you're going to be like, huh? Or you're going to be like, man, I thought that was really high. Or man, I thought that was kind of low.
Give me a scale of number. You want out of 100 or do you want out of 1,000?
I mean, just a percentage.
Okay. I would say, I would hope to God. Well, see, though, I know.
That's a good start, though. I would hope to God. So there's a slant there.
I know how misconstrued reasonable suspicion can be, even for the school principal. So I'm going to say he
Or she.
or she is 60-40 in favor of the school.
80-20.
In favor of the school?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
You want that, right?
I do. I want it to be 100 because I want school officials to
Be able to.
not be muddy on what reasonable suspicion really is, because that's where, and I was about to say, the real question here is how well do educated adults who are running schools, how well can they articulate what reasonable suspicion actually is?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's 4 out of 5.
Yeah, that's
you,
good.
You want it to be 5 out of 5.
Yeah, but
Maybe
that's
9 out of 10 would be better. But,
80-20 kind of, it makes my heart feel a little bit. I was worried you were about to say 50-50.
No. So watch this. Go back to the bathroom.
Okay.
So it was a school official that found this girl smoking, searched her, found the other stuff. Okay. So that's how it ends up in the court because, hey, I can't believe you just searched my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
What if that is a female SRO who has gone into that restroom, finds that girl smoking?
Well, if you found the girl smoking, it's not reasonable suspicion anymore. That's probable cause.
Okay. So does that,
It's less than that.
so that SRO gets to search her?
No. Based on reasonable suspicion?
I don't know.
Okay, so let me just clarify the difference.
It's okay. Watch this. The school board wins this case, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, we use this as the precedent that we
That's right.
stand upon to search for school officials to search kids based on reasonable suspicion.
So let's
alone.
say it wasn't a school official and it was an SRO who was in that situation.
You search someone on reasonable
Does
suspicion.
it change at all?
The Fourth Amendment says the exclusionary rule will now apply, and that whatever evidence you found is fruit of the poisonous tree, and it's your case dismissed.
I didn't follow.
Okay.
No. So, I mean, like I followed everything that you just said,
Mm-hmm.
but in the end, like, how did the judge just rule in the scenario you just gave?
If the SRO searches them based on only reasonable suspicion, then that's not a thing.
Okay. Do me a favor.
I will.
Throw both terms out. Forget the terms.
Okay. Because they're really important terms.
I know.
Okay.
And you're going to come back to them. You're
For
going
sure.
to
Yeah,
reinsert them.
Yeah.
In this case, a school official catches a girl, searches a girl, parents don't like it, goes to court. The judge says, school official, we're good on this case.
Yeah.
Correct. I got that correct, right?
Yeah.
Same scenario, substitute the school official with a school resource officer, walks in, everything is the same, right? Smoking, searches, finds something else, parents don't like it, goes to court. Now, how does the judge?
I can't answer that question without the term. Did he see the
Why
girl?
didn't it
did
apply
she
to the
see
school
the girl
official?
smoking?
Why didn't it apply to the school official?
Because the school official is acting in the place of the kid's parents at school. The police officer is not.
Oh, okay. But I mean, see, that blows my mind. I think I'm flustered and frustrated by that.
You don't like it?
I don't think I do. I mean, that's an adult in the building who was there.
Buddy, let me tell you something. I've been an SRO, and if you took the cuffs off of me in those hallways of a school and just said, hey, go be the police, I'd have everybody in town wanting SROs out of our schools. Because I'll find them little knuckleheads with all kind of stuff.
So SROs don't go into the bathroom then?
Yeah, they go into the bathroom. They do. But when you see a kid smoking, that's probable cause. But when someone comes to you and says, hey, I saw Johnny smoking in the bathroom, or Johnny's got cigarettes in his backpack, and you say, how do you know? Well, I saw him smoking in the bathroom. That's reasonable suspicion.
So a school official can search in that moment.
In that moment.
But an SRO could not.
Absolutely not.
Wow.
But if that SRO saw someone smoking in the bathroom, that's probable cause.
Then they're in their jurisdiction. I don't know how to say that.
They can. Yeah,
they're in their lane.
They're gonna take that kid. They're gonna go make a phone call home. They're gonna search that bag. They're gonna take the cigarettes. They're gonna write them a juvenile citation.
Man, there's a much harder line than I ever thought between the assistant principal, who is usually digging in on these matters so the head principal can keep doing their job, right? That sounds about right at Walker Valley.
Yeah.
But I've seen like seemingly the APs work with the SROs hand in hand.
Yep, they do.
That I've thought
you're going to a clause here.
They have the same.
No,
they don't.
No,
they don't.
No, because we haven't said as a society that a school resource officer, in the absence of the parents while at school, hold the same role to that student as the school principal.
Do I want them to?
Absolutely not.
I don't want them to as a teacher.
Absolutely not.
I don't want them to as a parent.
Absolutely not.
I don't want them to as an administrator.
Absolutely not. You want them to hug and high five, and when you need a police response, you call for one. You'll get it.
So when do I need a police response?
Let me stop by this, and this will help answer that question. If that assistant principal who's keeping the principal freed up to do principal duties has reasonable suspicion, and they're going to search a kid, but they've also never been to a police academy or been trained on pat searching individuals to find, weapons or drugs or anything like that, it has been found reasonable for that assistant principal to say, hey, SRO, could you assist me with a search? And now that SRO becomes sort of a tool that the assistant principal can use. Now, what I used to tell Ron Spangler back in the day when I was his SRO is, hey, listen, I'm more than willing. When you say, hey, I need help, I'm there, man. I got you. But you need to know, like, when you call for a police response, you're going to get a police response.
I've heard you say that.
This isn't, I'm going to find drugs in this kid's backpack and they're going to get in school suspension anymore.
They're going to juvie.
Well, I'm going to at least
court citation.
Yeah,
something
they're
official.
going at some point. They're going to stand before the juvenile judge, and but not because I want to put a bunch of kids in jail or anything like that. But there's something going on in this kid's life that some services may be rendered to this person through juvenile court programs, because juvenile court is that's a whole other topic. But nobody in the juvenile court system woke up this morning and said, God, I hope I put some kids in jail today. Not one. Every one of them that I've ever met and worked with day to day woke up this morning and was like, I hope I can make a difference in some kid's life today. Some kid who's standing on the edge of something and they got no support. I want to be able to offer them something.
Who's running our juvenile detention center right now? Can you name names? Do you know those folks still?
Yeah. Miss Town is running the center.
Vicky's still doing that?
Vicky.
She's been doing that a long time.
As far as I know. No,
Yeah.
she's like in charge.
Yeah.
It used to be Gallagher.
Yep.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And Judge Andrew Morgan is the judge down there now. And I know for a fact that guy wakes up every morning hoping he can help a kid. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because both Gallagher and Town would allow me, when Ocoee Middle School kids would get there, she and him would let me bring my chessboard, get myself a little room, set it up, bring a kid in, just sit with them, move some pieces, and just talk.
Yeah.
They're very kind. Allow me to do such a thing.
It's a big deal.
But I wanted to. I wanted to get there and just kind of hey, you are not forgotten.
Yeah.
In this other universe that you live in. We're trying to connect school to home, to this place, and it be actually a constructive experience.
Yeah.
And they let me be a teeny tiny piece when I could just come over there and do that. They didn't have to say yes, for sure. So, and those are good people. Gosh, those are quality people.
Yeah, they are.
Runs through their whole entire family.
Listen, our local juvenile courts and just gold. Those people over there are just gold.
I want to be able to, well, I don't like saying this, but I have to imagine. So I ask this question, like, not every juvenile system is like that.
I don't know. I mean,
I want them to be.
I want them to be too. And I think at least the core of them probably are.
Yeah.
But I'm talking ours from all the way from Judge Morgan down to some of the probation guys. They had a meeting last night to start a fishing program.
Yeah.
And these are guys that are working full time, managing these cases. And they're like, hey, let's start a little program where certain kids, we can put them in this program, and we'll get some people in our community that have a heart for this, and we'll do fishing trips. I think that's the coolest thing.
Well, if they're still looking for volunteers, I volunteer my brother-in-law, John Gant. He'd love to do something like that.
Yeah.
He'd make the time to do it. Yeah.
He'd be awesome at that. But yeah, man, I think we've proved the point. Probable cause, while it is a simple idea to people, police, investigators that are working those muddy, blurry lines all day, every day, when you start trying to explain that to someone that don't have the opportunity to go out and, watch somebody closely as they train, making arrests and making decisions, it's tough. It's a tough concept because it is a hard line. It's a dramatic difference, but it's on the same side of the card. It's not that different. But that's a good illustration. If I'm a police officer and I see you with cocaine in your hand, that is probable cause that a crime is occurring, because possession of a Schedule II narcotic is illegal in almost every state, probably every state in the union. And that's what cocaine is here. And that's just another illustration of the kid smoking in the bathroom. If the SRO sees the kid smoking in the bathroom, well, that is against a juvenile statute, and that's probable cause. That's not reasonable suspicion. But now if these days we have vape sensors. So if the vape sensor goes off, that's the first item of suspicion. Now that's not necessarily enough to just go jerk a kid out of the bathroom and search him, because there very well may be multiple kids in that bathroom. But it's enough to take the SRO to the bathroom to kick around and see what's going on. And then if you have a kid there and you really suspect that it's him, you're going to move on and bring that kid in, call a parent. And sometimes that you can pair that with another bit of information. And the most oftentimes it happens, you go there, you find two kids in the bathroom, and one of them tells on the other. Hey, the vape sensor went off while you were in here. Were you vaping? No. Well, was the other kid in there vaping? Yeah. So
who's asking that question? The SRO or
it could be either one.
The administrator?
It could be either one. Now, either one of those, if they're smart, will do this with the parents already aware that they're talking to them. You'll save yourself a lot. But I learned this from Denny Collins and Ron Spank, those guys. I got to watch those guys work. And as soon as that kid comes to the office, before he has a chance to even text his mom, we're going to call mom and say, hey, we're here with this guy, and he's okay. He's safe. Just wanted to let you know that we're speaking to him and just kind of let you in on what's going on. And you talk to him. But at that point, when the vape sensor's gone off, you go in there, you find the kid in there, and another kid says, oh, you can search me. I don't got nothing on me. That other guy was smoking. Well, it would be reasonable for me to believe that kid may be what set that vape sensor off. Okay. So with their parents on the phone or aware, now that's not a requirement, but daggum, it's smart, because most parents, I think most reasonable adults would want to work with you in that situation. Hey, while I'm not there to have this conversation with my kid, I would love for an educated adult who has no ill will or malice toward my kid to have this conversation with them and help me figure this out. You know, I'm a reasonable guy most of the time, I think, and that's what I would want, I think. I would not want, by the time I get the phone call, the police has searched my kid and he's been questioned and everything. I don't love the feeling of that. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying, hey, give me a heads up so I'm not shocked by all this, you know? So that's me making the case for school administrators to make that phone call early as you can. In this context, in the context of vaping. But yeah, if it's an SRO and they don't see them smoking, why not just say to the school principal or the school administrator, hey, this is what I got. You want to look into this? And you let them take over. If they need you, they'll let you know. What I don't love sometimes is the idea of blurring those lines. I want very clear, hard lines on who's the school administrator and who's a police officer. I want the school administrators to do school administrator things. And I want the police officer to be a police officer that just so happens to have an office in the school and is willing to help and assist where they can without being looked at as that fourth or fifth administrator. Because
I don't want them to be an administrator.
No.
I do not. And I don't want our administrators to be cops.
It's true.
Yeah. But
being a school administrator feels a lot like being a police. I
can only imagine.
I've seen it up close, and
Sure.
it's a lot like, I told Denny Collins one time, I was like, you can go be a detective right now, man. That's about 50% of what you do is investigating. But I love both of those professions dearly. The SRO program is near and dear to my heart, not only because I've been one, but just because of what I've seen what it can do when it's done well.
It'll be here 25 years from now?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so for sure.
Because I think I said that because, I mean, it's only been around for 25 years.
Yeah.
I'm making that number up, but I'm pretty close, aren't I?
Yeah, I would say we're creeping up closer.
Why'd it take so long? And did Tennessee come up with this?
No, I don't think so.
Ohio come up with it? Like, who came up?
I don't know.
Did England come up with this? I mean, like, who said, man, maybe we should put police officers in the school buildings?
I don't know. This is twice we've came to this question, so maybe we need to do some research and figure that out. That'd be cool.
Give it to your kids, man.
Yeah, man. As soon as I get them to understand the difference between probable cause and reasonable suspicion, I'll do that.
Yeah.
But what causes probable cause to be so hairy at times is because it's taken and used in so many different contexts, and explaining to a kid the idea of like, okay, seeing a car speeding, that's probable cause. You stop that car. And according to this mobile doctrine idea, you can search a car based on probable cause, right? And they're like, oh, wait a minute. Which is the right answer. Wait a minute. That probable cause has no nexus to the compartments of the inside of that car. But if I see something inherently illegal in plain view in that car, or if I smell what I know is marijuana, that's probable cause. Again, we can look at searching that car. Anyways, I'm getting into the weeds on that, but it keeps going and going because now you get to someone's front doorstep and you're talking to them at the front door and you see something on their coffee table in the background that's illegal. Let's call it a bag of cocaine. Well, that means, wait, okay, so I had probable cause to search that car on that traffic stop, so I searched the car. So if I see cocaine in that house, I can search the house, right? Absolutely not. No. Now, at the most,
why not?
Well, because your house it's the highest level of your expectation of privacy that you have at your home. That's where the Fourth Amendment protects first, essentially. And
So we had to figure out all these others as these innovations came along.
yeah.
There was a home at the Genesis.
Yeah, the reason I can search that car was born in what do you think in US history that was born out of? Because that car is mobile and could be across the state lines before I could get my warrant, I can search it based on probable cause. If you thought about this for 30 seconds and knew that it was right around 1919 or 1920 or so, it's bootleg liquor. You know, there's cases that come out of there that go all the way to the Supreme Court. Well, they searched my car without a warrant. Well, by the time they got a warrant, you could have been in 2 states over, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of a 30,000 foot flyover of the mobile doctrine, but that's the idea here.
But I mean, okay, so watch this. I'm camping. That's my camper. Can my camper be searched? Is that my home?
I mean, it's not your car. I didn't pull you over on a traffic stop. No, I don't like that. I don't like it.
So if I'm going to do illegal activity, I should go get a camper?
No. You should not do illegal activity unless you want to go to prison.
You need to clarify
because in order to do that, but it sounds like
I could get away with more if I have this thing.
Now, why not just do it in your house?
Because I'm trying
your
to
house is the
not
highest.
Have the people in the house know what I'm doing.
Oh, well, and that's the thing. That's criminology 101. I was about to tell you is to do criminal activity, you almost always are going to have somebody's assistance at some point. And when you involve people, it's over because everybody be snitching. Everybody.
We could go in like 8 different directions. Right? My head is spinning.
We could for sure.
Because now you've got me in my Criminal Mind.
Yeah.
Which we've watched Criminal Minds to come all the way back to TV shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You that's a true statement, man. You catch a man doing some crime and now he's faced with prison time. He's begging you to snitch on some people. His dearest friend, family. I'll snitch on my brother. But it's just the way it is. So I always recommend just to not do
illegal activity.
Not do illegal things that could
anywhere
get you put in prison. Anywhere. Yeah. Yeah. Man, this is fun. I'd like to do this again, just kind of off the cuff. And
you said old school. Like, we're not like on episode 300.
I know.
You know, we have diversified our portfolio. We're doing storytelling. We're doing interviews. We're doing what you called let's just be buddies. I'm still doing my wordplay. I mean, it's just because it's just to me, Downright Mindful is either all of that or one of that. But I mean, like, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah. When I said old school, what I meant was literally the first time, episode 1.
We just sat down.
I did not sit down here with any intention to talk about probable cause or New Jersey versus TLO or school administration. I literally had a couple backup ideas. One of them was like JFK files or, but I didn't care where it went. I wanted to shoot the breeze for a minute, man.
We're going to get in the RFK files and the MLK files.
I'd love to. I'm excited about some of this and I'm scared to death by some of it. So,
well, there's already 2 podcasts that I've listened to about the RFK files and the MLK that they were called RFK tapes, MLK tapes.
Yeah, I listened to the MLK tapes. I listened to the RFK tapes.
I think you did because we talked about them. But I mean, like, are those guys going to get this new information and be able to create some whole new podcast because something's going to be revealed? Or are we just going to be like, yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know, man.
And will we really get anything that hasn't been redacted? And like, we're just getting papers pushed into the public, but really nothing revealed.
Let's resist until we know something.
Okay.
Which should be soon. Hey, thank you all for listening. We're going to cut this one short today. We hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure that, as always, you like and share. If you heard something you like here, share it with a friend. If you got a friend that's a SRO or a school administrator, share it with them. Maybe they'll tell us we're both idiots. I don't know. I'd love to talk to them about it.
Here to learn.
Hit us with your questions. Comment on Spotify. Share. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you like. If we've said something here and you have some input on it, love to hear it. With that, until then, we'll see you next time. Paul, last word.
Happy January, and maybe this is almost Happy Valentine's Day. That sound about right?
Getting close. Man, that's downright mindful. You've been listening to Downright Mindful with your hosts, Matt Paris and Paul Salzville. Produced by Josh Morris. Intro and outro production by Derek Kinsey. You can find us wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. Thanks for listening.